New Thought Tuesdays to everybody. Divine disruption. Testing and trusting. Not only trusting, but using your human experience to demonstrate the results. Trusting the pivot. You know the term, the pivot, when plans fall apart. Divine disruption. Trusting the pivot when plans fall apart. Oh, that's what we have to talk about today here on New Thought Tuesdays. And speaking of us, I'd like to welcome to the stage Mr. Rich Smith. At least on video, he's got a story for us.
So anyways, we had this big weekend planned, a big week, 2 weeks in Italy. A friend was having an event there, a party, celebrating her life, a life party that she wanted to celebrate her life. And we spent tons of money going there, and probably money that we really wouldn't have gone if it was up to us, but we wanted to support her and go to this party. So we get there, and we realized that the place that we were going to stay in, the Airbnb, was 45-minute walk down this winding hill to get to where everybody else was in the little touristy section in the little town. So, you know, we're up there, and that was the first disappointment. It was, okay, so we're not with everybody else. And the other disappointment was that Jen got COVID, and we couldn't go to the event. We couldn't go to the dinner. We couldn't go to the island trip with them. And all these events that they had planned, we were kind of burnt out anyways at that point, because we did 3 days in Venice. So we were kind of burnt out anyways. So we get there. Jen has COVID. We're stuck up on this mountain, nothing to do. And it seemed like, and I say seemed like because that's the subject of what we're talking about, it seemed like everything was against us. And in the end, what I found out was that the universe had a different idea for us. And what we did is we shifted it around. We did our prayer work, and we just said, okay, it is what it is. We're going to have to make the most of it. Then all of a sudden, stuff started unfolding, and we went, this is perfect. This is wonderful. What a way to spend a week, you know, in Italy, in Lake Como in Italy. And so, yeah, I'm going to share my screen.
Okay.
Okay. Where's that? Italy. Okay. So anyways, so we're way up there in the mountains, and we couldn't go to any of the events, and Jen had COVID, so she had to stay in, and I went out for a walk to explore. I said, we got to get some dinner for tonight, and I didn't want to walk 45 minutes down the mountain, so I Googled, and I found out there's a little town up above us, a restaurant, and a little store where I could buy food, and we could cook, you know, for the 2-3 days when we were in, you know, shut down, whatever you call it, with COVID. And so I'm GPSing, and I couldn't find this road. And I'm going, where is it? It's supposed to be right here, right in front of our little Airbnb. And then I look up, and I see this pathway. And that's the road. And so the beauty of it was I discovered Old World Italy. I walked up there. And let me play this video for you.
Well, the thing is, his screen is not sharing on the.
So here's our view.
Recording.
For one thing,
I can't really show you. I can't really show you the recording with the view of it. But Mr. Smith and his lovely wife Jen went to Italy and had some what we might call unwelcome adventures. At least they appeared to be unwelcome adventures. They were not exactly planned. They were not actually planned at all. They had experienced and expressed great desire to be with this friend at this event. They had done their spiritual practice beforehand for ease and effortlessness. And I'll let Rich explain this in at another time, his point of view, but they had some concerns about the travel. They worked through these concerns, and they had these plans. And the plans did not unfold in the way that they had wanted. And every step of the way, the unwanted, apparently, adjustments to their plans showed up as gifts. Gifts, and they were able to do their spiritual practice and recognize that they were in their rightful place. They were able to stay centered as these plans shifted. And they were able to identify that there is a greater process going on. There is a greater vibration going on. And in that process, they were able to celebrate trust. They were experienced faith. Yes, it's very true. They were not able to go to the party that they had traveled across the world to go to. And yet, the unfoldment that took place, Rich reports as having this wonderful day. There was this picture he was showing me when we were talking at the recording, and he's looking for this road, and there's no road there. He's got the GPS, and there's no road there. But if you look over his shoulder, there is a path. It's an old-time Italian path, and that's exactly what he was taking to where he wanted to be, to take care of Jen, to get a wonderful meal for them. They actually ended up going up this path and having a beautiful meal just by themselves at the top of the hill eventually. So they were able to go up the hill. And you remember he said this thing about, oh, we're up on top of this hill. We've got to go down this hill for all these events. It's a long time to get down there. But one of the things he kept talking about in his story, as he continued to tell me his story and showed me these pictures of how their perspective, their view was just amazing. And he said, if we had been down where everybody else was, we would not have had this view. We would not have had this perspective. So that's it looked like failure, but it was actually formation. Their time brought with it senses and senses of perfection and formation of delight in this case. Ernest Holmes says there's a power in the universe greater than you are, and you can use it. And so in this planning, they did something that is an Abraham term, actually pre-paving. They did a lot of intention setting. They did a lot of visioning and visualization for this trip. And imagine their disappointment when all of a sudden, oh, they're far distant from their friends. And then his beloved was not feeling well. And that's when Spirit showed itself even more, because they both chose to see the beauty of how they were using their vibration, how they were using their intentions for not only to celebrate their friend, but for something higher. And you'll notice he even said, we were kind of a little bit out of it by the time we got to Lake Como. And so they received some beloved rest. It may have looked like a no initially, but they were able to identify that it was a yes. One of the things that we always focus on is this idea that benevolence is unfolding for us always. Everything is working out for me, even when it doesn't seem to be. And that's where that question that I particularly like to ask myself and ask my clients is, how is this happening for me? Because that question, if embraced and authentic, allows you to release resistance and to see that aspect that is, some people would call it the silver lining. I believe it's a bit more than that, that we have the divine alternative to see what we want. And as we focus on what we want, it unfolds more and more. Caveat on that is if we focus on what we do not want, it unfolds more and more as we focus on it. So it's what they both were able to understand was this divine trip was happening for both of them in a way that was magnificent. It kind of brings up a secondary thing that I wanted to go into today. Oh, and if Rich is here with his story, and the story was all about what we wanted to talk about this Tuesday, and yet again, and this is all good news, he had a client experience. He's focused on his clients right now, and that is our priority. Our priority is to focus on our clients, focus on that sense of abundance for ourselves and for all of our clients. And this is how we do it. So partially that means that Rich isn't with us as much as he might like to be. But the affirmation I'd like to look at is, I trust divine order, even when I don't see it. What I thought was a detour is the exact path to my highest good. Now, I'm going to put that in the chat for all of our folks here that are for Inner Circle. And if you're not familiar with New Thought Tuesdays, we have a membership called the Inner Circle. And after these remarks, we all get together in a quiet, confidential, personal, delightful, actually, time together till the top of the hour to talk about the subject in more depth and to bring a more sense of revealing of the truth in our understanding of the topic. So if you want to know more about that, please go to newthoughttuesdays.com. If you have any specific requests or questions, feel free to email me at deanregan, DeanRegan.com. I'll be glad to answer them, as will Rich. So I trust divine order, even when I don't see it. You might even say, I trust divine order, especially when I don't see it, because when I see divine order, it's easy to trust it. It's when we don't see the divine order that our faith guides us to that ultimate idea of love and trust and peace and harmony and abundance and order. So that's what we're here for today. God bless you all. Yes, I used that God word. We're going to go into the Inner Circle right now, and we'll see you next week. I want to thank Rich for coming back into the country safely and soundly with his lovely and healthy wife, and that we will see you all here on New Thought Tuesdays next week.